life would be true. But if you'd given him the chance to apologize, he'd still be alive.
What?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 horror drama Men, a film that is written and directed by Alex Garland, and it stars Jessie Buckley and Rory Kinnear. Now the film focuses on Jessie Buckley's character Harper, who after the death of her ex-husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband, decides to spend 2 weeks out in the country to essentially take a step back and rediscover herself and just take a break from everything, basically. So she goes to this old country house. The landlord there is played by Rory Kinnear, who initially seems quite welcoming. She moves in and soon notices that things just aren't right in the local area, and she has a distinct feeling that she may be being stalked by a strange individual. Right, what are my thoughts on Men? Well, I was trying really hard then not to give too much away in my description of the film, because to be honest, I knew very little about this film when I went into it. I'd seen a trailer months ago, but I couldn't remember an awful lot about it. And this is actually quite a difficult one to give feedback on and to even score almost, because this is one of those, it's an A24 film, it's one of those films, horror films especially, that is a bit of an acquired taste. This isn't really for everybody. And you can say that about all films, I know. But I'm just not sure if I really liked this film or not. I thought it was, at times, stunningly beautiful. I mean, there's no argument this film is shot in an absolutely stunning and beautiful way. I mean, it does look remarkable. But at the same time, you could argue it's a tad pretentious. And it's full of metaphors all over the place. And I'm not one of these that sometimes like to watch a film that makes me scratch my head or makes me overthink, and I do think this may be a little bit too arguably pretentious and arty for some people. I'm borderline, but there's no getting around it at the same time that this film is incredibly creepy and effective at times. It makes your skin crawl. And it's propped up by two remarkable performances by Jessie Buckley initially, playing this really broken woman who has gone through, she's seen her ex-husband essentially die in front of her. She's in a really fragile state, as you would be. And then she's kind of gone from the frying pan into the fire. And I honestly, I think it's one of the strongest performances I've seen this year, certainly, from a female performer. Absolutely brilliant, outstanding. And then you've got Rory Kinnear. Who is Rory Kinnear, you may ask? Well, he's the son of Roy Kinnear, who is, you know, well known in the UK in the 70s and 80s for doing, like, British-based movies and comedies and all this kind of stuff. Rory Kinnear, he's been in the Bond films. He was in like the Daniel Craig Bond films. He's done other stuff as well. But wow, he's also been linked to Doctor Who quite a few times in the past. What a performance by Rory Kinnear, who I'm really tempted to. I don't want to spoil it, but it's a remarkable performance by him. One of the most disturbing and skin-crawling performances I've seen for quite some time. I mean, a standout. I mean, really, really fantastic stuff. So there is some real moments in this film where you will be definitely on edge. You will definitely be creeped out and freaked out. And you'll be repulsed by some of the things that you're seeing. I think probably what most mainstream horror fans will have an issue with this film is, like I said, it's a little bit too pretentious and a little bit too arty. And I just think if they'd have And again, obviously, Alex Garland's a very, very talented writer and director. We know this. He's written things like 28 Days Later. You know, he's done Annihilation and Ex Machina and all this kind of stuff. He's very, very talented. He truly is. And I'm not trying to, you know, crap all over his vision here. I'm sure he had a very, very strong vision as what he went into with this film. I just feel at times it went a little bit overly weird, a little bit too, I don't know. I just think if a slight tweak had been made to this film and just slightly gently nudged it a little bit more towards the mainstream, I think he would have probably had his first potential real hit on his hands. I mean, as it is, what we get is a visually impressive film, and I do mean that. Truly impressive. Some incredible performances, 2 outstanding performances here by Jessie Buckley and Rory Kinnear. And a very interesting and intriguing film that is very thought-provoking, raises a lot of questions, with some truly disturbing dialogue and interactions in the film. But at the same time, but when you finish watching it, and it's hard to kind of put your finger on it, it's one of those films you're just not sure if you enjoyed or not. And that's a shame, really. I do think this film deserves to find a wider audience. There are plenty of people out there that will be absolutely in love with this film. I'm just not sure I'm one of them. I enjoyed it. Aspects of it were outstanding. It's one of those films I'd be intrigued to watch again, for sure. And it is definitely worth your time. But just be aware when you go into this one. It's kind of one of those, it's a little bit up in the clouds, I suppose, I want to say. So I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. I would have liked to have given it more, but I wouldn't have been true to myself, really. I think for me personally, right now, a 7 out of 10 score is a fair score for this film. So let me know in the comments what you thought of this film. And of course, I'll be back with loads more content and reviews on the channel very, very soon.